For 3 decades, the case of Josip Perkovic has strained relations between Germany and Croatia. During the Cold War, several Croatian dissidents were murdered in what was then West Germany. Perkovic was a top spy with Yugoslavia's secret service at the time, and he was accused of complicity in one such case. Germany has long asked for his extradition, which has now been granted. Our European Journal reporters met the former spy in Zagreb for the first ever televised interview. The wall of secrecy that Croatia has built around atrocities committed during communism is beginning to crack.
Yeah. One of the bullets, I was hit by 6 of them.
Nikola Stedul, a prominent Croatian exile, survived an assassination attempt. It was 1988 in Scotland, where he had lived with his British wife before he went back to Croatia.
That's a bullet that they took between the spine and the heart, from the head to here.
The would-be assassin was arrested and convicted.
Okay.
Stedul was a top leader of the Croatian independence movement who called for Croatia to leave communist Yugoslavia. This made him a target of Yugoslav intelligence. At that time, many in the West supported Yugoslavia.
But everybody was maintaining to the very bitter end that Yugoslavia must stay. That's the only option.
Stedul says one of his persecutors in the intelligence service was this man, Josip Perkovic. He lives in Zagreb. There's a European arrest warrant against him from Germany. For months, however, Croatia refused to extradite him. On January 1st, Perkovic was briefly arrested and conditionally released. Croatia is under increasing pressure to address the bloody legacy of the intelligence service during the Cold War. Perkovic and other ex-agents have for years been among the most wanted suspects of the German Federal Prosecutor's Office. They are suspected in at least 13 murders of Croatian exiles in former West Germany, where many migrant workers lived. Beginning in 1979, Perkovic was responsible for observing them. And that included this man who was killed in Munich in 1983. Stjepan Đuraković, a former employee of the Yugoslav oil company INA, who apparently knew too much about the corrupt dealings of the communist elite. He was found shot dead in the small town of Wolfratshausen near Munich, in this garage where he had a printing press. Đuraković began to publish anti-Yugoslav documents after his move to Germany. 2 gunmen are believed to have ambushed him. Đurakovic's son had no doubt who was behind the killing.
He was set to become chairman of our government in exile, and that was very embarrassing for the Yugoslav government. That's why they were in such a hurry to have him executed. Yes, that's what we can call this.
Less than 5 years later, Damir Đuraković was murdered in Canada. The elder Đurakovic's murder went to trial in Munich in 2008. A co-conspirator was sentenced to life in prison. The court is convinced that the men behind the killing are living in Zagreb, like Josip Perkovic. The Germans believe he was involved in the murder. He's now willing to appear on camera to tell Deutsche Welle his side of the story in his first television interview. The now 68-year-old admitted to having spied on Croatian exiles beginning in 1979 with his own agents. We want to know how many helpers he had in Germany.
A lot. I'll tell you right away, it makes no sense to give a number. The basic task of the department I headed was to protect the tourism season. A certain number of Croatian immigrants in Europe and elsewhere had attacked our coast with violence. They planted explosives and grenades on the beaches and in restaurants. Preventing this was my job and the duty of this part of the intelligence service.
But the former agent denied the German murder accusations, saying he'd never been ordered to carry out targeted killings.
There are some intelligence methods that are not violent. None of the methods used by us involved the use of violence. They were carried out by the agency that we had, by means of classic intelligence activities.
And these agents were acting on orders from Zagreb. But he admitted that the only person convicted in the Jurakovic murder in Munich was an informal agency employee.
We sometimes talk by phone, but you know that information shared by phone cannot be high quality or detailed.
He didn't want to go into further detail and ended the interview after half an hour. Perkovic's lawyer did everything to keep his client from being handed over to Germany, where he's been a wanted man for years. But now the Supreme Court of Croatia has handed down its final decision. Perkovic will be extradited. One thing is clear. So far, Croatia has had a hard time coming to grips with its communist past in Yugoslavia. It's only now beginning to address this legacy. The relatives of the victims have been waiting a very long time.
And you'll find more of the interview with Josip Perkovic on our website. That's at dw.de.